July 28th and 29th, Colin Meester and I joined almost 150 people in the Veterans Affairs Innovation Challenge to design and develop personal technologies to improve care and quality of life for veterans with disabilities. Sadly, as of today, there are almost 4 million United States veterans with a service-connected disability. Colin and I worked as part of a team with 2 other people called the Drug Pushers to tackle the issue of creating a pillbox that can hold medications that need to be taken up to 8 times a day with a built-in reminder system. The inspiration for our design was Michelle, a veteran who served in the Army for 11 years as a Black Hawk helicopter mechanic. In 2006, she fell out of a helicopter and suffered a traumatic brain injury, a shoulder injury, and a broken back.
After we got here, I was diagnosed with diabetes on top of everything else, and trying to remember to take my pills in order to eat, trying to remember anything. I had a lot of memory issues, and couldn't remember to take them, couldn't remember when I was supposed to take them, or couldn't remember if I'd already taken them, so I just kept screwing it up, and it was actually making everything worse.
In spite of her injuries, she loves doing things with her husband and 2 children, but because she takes 24 medications a day, heading out can be difficult. Imagine if you wanted to leave the house for the day and your pillbox looked like this. We designed a water bottle with a pillbox built into it. Colin designed all of the pieces using Tinkercad and even created an app that would help the veteran know when to take the medications in the box. One of our teammates also designed this complex funnel system to help veterans with mobility issues to fill the box. After 12 hours of hard design work, the group from Stratasys printed our design overnight on one of the 15 3D printers on site. The next day, we pitched our idea to a panel of experts, including Google employees, veterans, and health professionals, and won first place in the Pillbox Challenge and a $1,000 prize. Our design is on the National Institutes of Health website, and anyone can download it and print it on a 3D printer. It was an exhausting, taxing, and emotional, yet inspiring experience, but it was well worth it when Michelle came over to personally thank us afterwards. While it is amazing that the impact our design can have for so many people, knowing the direct impact we had on Michelle is even better. So why am I up here telling you this? It's not just because Mrs. Hollerith asked me to give this talk, although as someone who needs lots of help getting into heaven, I would never say no to her. She has a really good in with the man upstairs. It's not just to advertise for our makerspace, although we'd love to have you if you're interested. And it's certainly not just to get money out of Mr. Stillwell for more 3D printers, although I really did like this fancy $250,000 one that they had at the event. Perhaps a going away present? I'm up here talking about this project because there is a wonderful lesson to learn from our experience that warrants sharing. Any of us in this room can make a positive difference in the lives of others. Colin and I are proof of that. This summer, I got to visit Bishop School in Cape Town, South Africa for the International Boys School Coalition Annual Conference. One of the sessions I attended was on Ubuntu and Ecology by Dr. Ian McCullum, a brilliant man who has more advanced degrees than I have Apple products. Ubuntu is a Zulu word that means I am because we are. It speaks to our interconnectedness and how we are only made whole by our helping of others. In his session, he talked about the idea of a keystone species, or species whose existence matter because of their impact on others. Elephants are a wonderful example of a keystone species. Would you ever guess that elephants are the world's largest grower of trees? The fruits from many trees in Africa are covered in a hard shell. that only elephants can break and eat. The seed then moves through their digestive system unharmed and comes out in their poop, awesome, right? And grows into wonderful trees. It's like seed and fertilizer all in one. These trees rely on elephants for seed dispersal, and without them, the entire landscape of African forest would change. Now, here's the kicker. Humans are not a keystone species. No part of our world relies on us to survive. In fact, one might argue that we are detrimental to other species. So the question becomes, what are you going to do to make a difference and make sure that you have a positive impact on others? What will you do to make yourself a keystone person? Who will say, I am better for having met you? Sitting around this room, you have wonderful people who live their lives in this way. For example, every alumnus that comes back talks about the major impact Mr. Boyd has had on his life. It happens every time. The rest of us strive as well to have that kind of impact on all of you. We don't do it just for our own desire to be a keystone person. We do it because we know that greatness lies in each of you. Our job is to help you realize your potential and become a man who will change the world for the better. Now we get it. You may not always feel like that, right? Maybe you failed your summer reading test. Maybe you had a timeout this morning because you've been late for school. In spite of all those things that still make you a teenage boy, and perhaps even because of those, you have the power to make a difference. I'd like to close with an audio clip also from the IBSC conference. We were blessed to hear Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu speak to us. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1984 for his fight against apartheid, the laws that forced segregation in South Africa from 1948 to 1994. In an area of Cape Town called District 6, the government forced blacks out of their homes, threw them and their belongings onto trucks, leveled their houses with bulldozers, and then moved them to segregated areas outside of the city. There were even laws saying what black children could be taught, and it was only enough to make them valuable as servants to white people. Even though all of this happened before you were born, apartheid is a horrible piece of very recent world history. Archbishop Tutu also led the reconciliation after apartheid ended, including ways for the oppressors to confess what they had done and to be forgiven for their crimes. You will actually hear more about this next Tuesday from Mr. Verwoerd, another important figure in the fight against apartheid. Please listen carefully to Bishop Tutu's words and know that whether your gifts and talents include 3D design, making apps, planting trees, preferably with a shovel, or anything else, that you have the power to make a positive difference in the lives of others.
I have great faith in the youth. I have had the good fortune to meet all kinds of important people over the past 15 years since my retirement. I've met royalty, heads of state, sport and Hollywood stars. You might have noted I'm a chronic name dropper. But almost without exception, it is the young people I have encountered who have impressed me most. I'm often stunned by the depth and clarity of their understanding and by their courage to confront the challenges they have inherited. I have traveled on something called Semester at Sea 4 times now around the world. Those young people just blow your mind. They dream, and I say to them, go on dreaming. Go on being idealistic. Don't allow oldies like us to to affect you with our cynicism. Dream that poverty can become history. Some of them do dress a bit strangely, and their taste in music is generally appalling, but they are at a major advantage. Their hearts and minds are generally uncluttered by the anxieties of the accumulation of resources that afflicts older people. They understand the transforming technological, communication-rich world around them with greater clarity than the likes of my generation. I say to them, dream, dream God's dream, that this, our world, will be a better world. Dream, dream, go on being idealistic. We are in good hands. God bless you.